All right, now, first and foremost, allow us once again to thank each and every one of you, and all of you together collectively, for the co-creation of this interaction. Once again, each and every time you are willing to co-create these interactions with us, it forms a bridge, a link, and a connection between our reality and yours, so that we can, together, more and more every day in every way, create a third new reality in which we can both interact in new ways. So we thank you for the gift that you have given to us of sharing. We would like to begin this idea, this transmission, this night of your time, by discussing something that we have labeled debunking the debunkers, talking about the gullible, the skeptical, the cynical. The idea has been expressed many times on your planet that there are unusual phenomenology that occur from time to time that many individuals on your planet either do believe or do not believe are occurring. Obviously, there are certain things that are perhaps misinterpretations of certain things. This can happen. Obviously, not every single thing that someone may think is a certain thing is a certain thing. Nevertheless, the idea of finding balance within your investigations and your relation to the idea of unusual phenomenon in your world is one that requires a clear, concise approach to remain in balance. And the idea is that what you call being skeptical is in and of itself a natural, healthy point of view, especially for your world, where there are so many deceptions that may occur on your planet, so many different agendas that may occur, and that individuals may wish to take advantage of others. Therefore, remaining skeptical can, in your world, be a healthy thing to do. However, the idea is that skepticism, by definition, is an open-minded state of a willingness to explore something, a willingness to look at what you call evidence, a willingness to understand your relationship to it, your personal relationship to it, and a willingness to allow for a new belief to come in, to challenge the old belief you may have been holding on to. Not the idea that you must change your belief, but a willingness to allow for the possibility that your beliefs, be they long held or cherished, may nevertheless require some change. The idea, of course, is that on polar opposite sides of the balance point of skepticism are the issues of gullibility and cynicism. We have said once before that cynicism, the formula for cynicism is CIA. Cynicism equals ignorance plus arrogance. Now, the understanding is that unlike the idea of open-minded skepticism, where you are willing to investigate, willing to take in new information, open to the possibility of changing your point of view, cynicism is that which has its mind made up, has a belief system and an agenda totally intact, and is unwilling to change. The idea being, therefore, that cynicism dismisses any new ideas that may challenge the paradigm that exists within. Gullibility, for most of you, means being open to accepting just about anything without any kind of filtration system, without any kind of discernment. The idea, however, is to recognize a fascinating fact about the polar opposites of gullibility and cynicism. They are not polar opposites. They are different versions of the same thing. Gullibility also has cynicism within it. Cynicism also contains a great degree of gullibility. Allow us to explain. The fundamental similarity between gullibility and cynicism is the same issue. I believe what I believe, and nothing will change that despite any evidence to the contrary. The gullible, in accepting everything without any kind of discernment, are actually saying the same thing. I have a belief system that I do not want to change no matter what. It's the same thing that the cynics say. I have a belief system I do not want to change no matter what. The gullibility inherent in cynicism is this. when a cynic often looks at the so-called, are actually investigating the true evidence, the true story, may simply be gullibly accepting the folk tale and using that and dismissing that as if they are dismissing true scientific evidence, when in fact all they're doing is saying the folk tale may not be actually representative of what's actually going on, and therefore because the folk tale is not true, the reality must also not exist. And so by saying that, by approaching it that way, the cynic has actually gullibly swallowed the general folk tale that has been put forth by individuals who may in fact be gullible. So in that sense, the gullible and the cynical have a connected relationship, a marriage of sorts, and they feed off each other, all pushing away from each other in that sense, leaving the idea of skepticism in the center. So all we are basically suggesting here is that you, in your investigation of anything that you may hear that seems unusual in your world, allow yourselves to remain in the center, in balance with your investigation as to whether or not it means something to you, whether or not it ought to be incorporated into your belief system structure, whether or not it really serves you in a positive, beneficial way, and allow yourself to maintain a sense of discernment as to what is and what is not appropriate for you. Now, of course, we understand there are many different points of view, many different belief systems, and for each and every individual, whatever belief system they are holding to be true for themselves at any given moment is true for them at that moment, even if it seems contradictory to another. But the only reason we are discussing the issues of gullibility and cynicism in this context is because very often the idea of those who are gullible and accept everything and those who are cynical and accept nothing often attempt to push that point of view on others. So if you are going to have a particular point of view that you believe is contradictory to anyone else's point of view, by all means, you are entitled to create that for yourself. But understand, you are not entitled to create that for anyone else. The idea is that each and every single one of you have the power, have the given gift to decide what is true for you, but do not have the ability to decide what is true for anyone else. Therefore, in the idea of accepting what is true for you as being all well and good, the idea, therefore, of communicating it to another is where the idea of balanced skepticism comes into play, in that when you transmit information that you may feel is true for you and would never likely change, the idea of sharing that to be balanced always comes with the allowance that whoever you are sharing that point of view with does not in any way, shape, or form need to believe you. And that's not what it's about. Sharing the idea of a point of view is an opportunity to give someone an option to consider another idea, another belief, another point of view. But it is only an option. It is only a sharing. It is only an opportunity to decide for themselves whether your point of view works for them, whether it's something they can form a consensus agreement upon. But no one really needs to do that. In fact, as we have stressed several times, none of you even need to believe anything we have just said. This is our point of view. This is our perspective. This is our understanding from our civilization based on our experience, our evolution, and what works for us. Now, yes, it is true. There are some general consensus ideas and beliefs that are common to almost everyone on your planet. These are the things you have already created a consensus agreement about that are put on, shall we say, automatic pilot, so you don't have to really think about them day to day. You can get on about the business of simply living your life without having to think about the idea of whether gravity is suddenly going to cancel on you. That's a consensus agreement that there is such a thing as gravity. Nevertheless, obviously, in this day and age of exploring consciousness and beginning to realize that physical reality is only an illusion and that you create whatever you are experiencing it to be, many individuals are beginning to explore and examine the possibility that gravity may not necessarily be such a given. that solidity may not necessarily be so solid, that things are malleable, that space-time can be flexible, stretched, bent, altered, and experienced in a new way. And the more you allow your vibrations to focus on these things, the more you will synchronistically experience the results of that point of view, of course, because this is the general consensus you have all agreed to explore, especially in this lifetime, the idea of the expansion of consciousness, which then brings the realization that physical reality is nothing but your game, your creation, your illusion, your experience. Physical reality itself, as we have said several times, is not unto itself a real, solid thing outside you. The experience of physical reality is real, but not the physical reality itself. It's just a mirror. Nevertheless, you have, to a great degree, created some consensus reality. But as that changes for several individuals, as there is created new points of view, and as there is consensus even among small groups about different points of view from the general consensus, new bubble realities are thus then created within the overall consensus agreement. As time goes on, as you proceed in your investigation of things that have historically been considered unusual, unbelievable, unreal, and start to find out that many of them in fact are real, are very believable, are in fact extremely experienceable by each and every one of you, you will thus then imbue the general consensus reality with more and more vibrations that are representative of more people's ability to see some of those unusual things actually come to pass, come to fruition, become more concrete, more stable, more experiential. That will happen over the course of time as you create time to exist. But nevertheless, in this transitional timing that's going on now on your planet, when each and every one of you are really busy about the experience of deciding what is true for you and what kind of a reality you really wish to experience your life to be, as you redefine yourselves, find out what you have been labeling things as, and change those labels to suit the idea of your true, natural, joyful selves, which is available to you all without exception. As you go through this process, all that we are suggesting to you that has worked for us is that you allow yourself to be open to the possibility that as you adopt new beliefs, that those beliefs in and of themselves are no more capable of becoming concrete than you wish them to be, and that they themselves are always open to change as you gain new understanding and new perspectives of yourself as an aspect of creation. So, if you wish to experience the idea of gullibility and accept everything, as you say, willy-nilly, that's your choice. But it will allow you to take a longer time to create for yourself the ability to discern what actually works best for you and what does not. If you wish to create the idea of a cynical point of view, be our guest. You are entitled to create that if you wish. But again, from our experience, we simply caution you that it will allow you to create more time in which to create the reality of your preference. Only the balance point is the thing from our experience that allows you to create the reality you prefer in an ever-flexible, ever-changing, rapidly accelerating manner. So it's up to you to decide what you prefer. Doing it slowly, doing it quickly, doing it in between at a pace that is comfortable for you. It's up to you. But recognize simply that all of it is your creation. All of it. And that every point of view is valid, but there are always consequences to the choices you make, mechanically speaking. Of course, many of you understand that when we say consequences, we are not discussing the issue of punishment or anything like the idea of negative judgment. We are simply talking physics, mechanically. There is always a reaction to every action. And therefore, it's about gaining more discernment about what the consequences are mechanically for every action that you take, for every stance that you take, for every state of being you choose to be in. The idea, therefore, is to allow yourselves to recognize that you can make choices that will determine what kind of experience you have. And if you are not enjoying the experience you are having, you can allow that to change by making different choices. It's really as simple as that. I know that for many of you it doesn't seem to be that easy because you have a difficult time figuring out how to get in touch with what choices you're already making that are creating the experiences you say you don't want. But nevertheless, it's actually a relatively simple thing to do. All you have to do is get in touch with the thing that you are using to define, the label you are using to define any particular experience that you are having. And once you get a handle, as you say, once you make transparent the label you have been using, whether consciously or unconsciously, to define the reality that you are experiencing, it will become clear why you have been experiencing the things that you have. Because as you label a thing, so thus then does the consequence issue therefrom and give you that experience. What you put out is what you get back, as we have said many times and call the third law of creation. Therefore, balance is the key, literally, that will unlock all perspectives to you and give you the discernment to decide. Even if it's through the auspices of figuring out what you are not, to decide what it is you truly prefer to be. Many people on your planet will take that route. They will explore many things. They will find that it will allow certain kinds of negative experiences to happen in their lives, but that may simply be their way of exploring what they are not to more clearly define what they are. And when you choose to go from the darkness to the light, in that sense, when you choose to balance yourself out, then by having gone into the darkness to define what you are not, it may be that much simpler for you to define what you are and that much easier to go into the light and create realities of your preferential choice that are in alignment with your true core self. Is this making some sense to you?
Yes.
All right. So, the idea, therefore, to simply sum up the issue of debunking the debunkers is to pay attention to the fact that when individuals seek to debunk, they are often themselves simply afraid to look at new ideas, new things. When an individual is also gullible enough to accept everything without discernment, it is also the same issue. They are afraid to see something else that they think will be something unacceptable, something distasteful, something to be feared. You may have that experience, but none of it is empirically true. There is nothing to fear in anything that you will discover. Every single thing you will investigate, every single thing, the deepest fear, the greatest joy, every single thing that you will investigate, you will always, I guarantee you, discover simply more of yourself, more of your true core being, because that's all there is to discover. However, as we said, you do not need to take our word for it. We know it works from our experience, and many of you know it works from your experience. All of you have the ability to experience it for yourselves, and we will leave it up to you to choose to do so if you wish. So once again, we will thank you, each and every one of you, for allowing us to share that point of view as a potential idea to take in, to absorb, to use as a tool in your lives, however it seems appropriate for you to do so. And in return for the gift that you are giving to us, we ask you now, how may we serve you? You may ask your questions or bring up your subjects if you so desire.
So those of you, maybe a few people would like to come. I know. No, I don't. So in the meantime, Bashar, we have some listeners.
One moment. How about the nice time instead of the meantime? How about the kind time?
I vote for that. The
All right.
kind time.
In
I
the
like
kind
that.
time.
Okay. We have listeners that reach us through News for the Soul Radio.
Yes.
And also on the website, we have a place where people get to ask you questions.
Yes, we understand.
So I'm going to ask you a question from one of those sources.
All right.
Okay. And that question is, we'd like you to talk about climate change and global warming and explain to us, from your perspective, what's going on, and basically find out how we can best engage in helping the situation.
All right. First and foremost, recognize, yes, many of you have the understanding that to some degree your technology and the creation of such things as pollution and so on and so forth are accelerating certain kinds of conditions on the planet. This is so. Nevertheless, what you are accelerating is a natural cycle that has occurred on your planet many times. There have been many warming periods, many cooling periods. Now, because you have arrived at a certain point in your technology where you are capable of affecting your environment more than ever before, you have accelerated the natural warming cycle that is going on now. This is actually right now the end of your ice age. It's been going on for a little while, but this is actually now the ending of it. And when it continues to end over the course of the next couple of decades of your time, you will find that some of the oceans will rise as they did before. The approximate average over the entire span of the initial phase of the warming, which will be several decades long, the entire rise of the ocean will be approximately about 10 to 15 of your feet. The idea, therefore, is that in some places this will happen slowly, although there will be some places where when ice dams break, there will be immediate inundation. And it should be paid attention to prevent the idea of loss of life. Nevertheless, once the idea of the warming trend continues, you will then find that, like the cycle has before, it will ultimately cycle back into a cooling trend as well, as the planet has done, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for many, many, many millions of your years. The idea, therefore, however, is to understand that even though it may be a natural cycle, the recognition that you have the capability of accelerating it puts you in touch with your power and your effect on the environment and the choices that you make. It isn't even so much the idea of destroying the world as it is simply the idea of recognizing your responsibility to choose what kind of an experience in reality you actually prefer to have and make the choices that are in alignment with that. Remember that your planet has gone through many things that are far more destructive than you are actually even capable of manifesting. Gigantic asteroid strikes, solar flares, all sorts of things have happened to your planet that have extinguished life again and again and again. The idea, however, is now you have arrived at a place where you are recalling events, bringing together memories of other lives, other experiences. This is a culmination kind of age on your planet, where you are capable of drawing from the experiences of many thousands of years of lives, bringing them all to bear, and deciding for yourselves how you wish to be, what kind of reality you wish to have, and acting accordingly. So the idea of doing this at this time of this natural cycle is forcing you into a situation where you have to face the choices that you make and really come together to decide what kind of reality, what kind of world, what kind of civilization you really wish to have, and how you wish to relate to nature, how you wish to relate to creation, so there can be ease of creation instead of the idea of creating catastrophic shifts, catastrophic circumstances that are for the purpose of shaking you and jarring you to your senses. You don't have to do it that way. So as you learn to ease up, lighten up in your relationship with the idea of all things in nature, you thus then have the ability to shift yourselves to parallel reality after parallel reality that are already representative of the kind of world that you prefer. Because that's actually how the world changes. The world you're on never changes. It always exists exactly as it is now. It's just that when you change yourself, you change your frequency, you shift yourself to the frequency of a parallel reality Earth that is already on that vibratory level, that is already representative of the kind of shift you have made within yourself. So in essence, you change nothing but yourself. And that's how you apparently change the world. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right.
My second question actually dovetails with your last answer.
All right.
And
thank you for your synchronicity.
Yes. What I wanted to ask you is that when you go back in time and you alter or interact with a past,
yes,
like such as ours,
yes,
you are creating an alternate reality for yourself to some degree and can choose to go back to that alternate reality or to the one that you started from. Is that true?
Well, yes and no. Would you like me to explain?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I will. First of all, of course, recognize that when you say back in time, that's just a linear euphemism. I'm not really going back in time because time is an illusion and all realities exist at the same time. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. So since you know that all realities and everything in existence all exist now, and that the so-called past and the so-called future are just illusions, they're just convenient space-time linear names for other simultaneously coexistent parallel realities going on right now with this one, in that sense, I haven't really altered anything. We are interacting with whatever parallel reality we are interacting with, and as we interact with it, that becomes the history of that parallel reality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Therefore, we can choose to go in different directions. We can choose to create different experiences, and as we do so, we are, of course, shifting, as we have just described, into different parallel realities in order to have those different experiences. But we aren't really altering time because everything already different experiences. But we aren't really altering time because everything already exists at once. It's just that we're shifting into parallel realities where such an interaction is already part of the definition of that parallel reality, and in that context, we are changing nothing except ourselves. Make sense?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Sort of.
Oh, all right. In what way do you wish to explore this in more detail for clarity?
From the physical aspect.
I am speaking from the physical aspect.
Okay. Well, it exists all at once.
Yes. As we said, it is similar to the analogy of your television set on Earth.
Right.
Where you know you have many different programs that you can experience all at the same time. They're all there at once, but you only get the one that you're tuned to. But when you change the channel, you get a different reality. You get a different story. So yes, all physical realities, all dimensions of experience, all parallel planes, all ideas of past, present, and future, all exist right now, simultaneously. They are just separated by different frequencies in the same way that the different television programs are separated by different frequencies.
Okay. I understand that you're partially physical,
yes,
but you're also very non-physical.
In our evolution at this time, we are quasi-physical.
Yes.
Shifting, in a sense, back and forth, vibrating in a quasi-physical, non-physical energy state. Yes.
Okay. From my perspective, I'm very serial. I'm just going from one moment to the next moment. And
yes.
It's all like the...
That's your perspective, yes.
Like the film on the projector
yes.
running.
Yes.
So I was wondering, since you are able to experience this sensation,
yes.
I was wondering, do you...
Though not as tightly as you do.
Okay.
For us, it's like looking at several film strips at once and being able to go between them.
Ah.
Ah.
So it's a multi-experience.
It is a multi-dimensional experience, which is why we often refer not to a universe, but to a multiverse.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, it is full of awe, if you say so.
Okay, I had another quick question.
Yes.
Where do we remember? Trying to understand the differences in higher mind and physical mind in the sense that...
Where do you remember?
From the standpoint that 25,000 years ago that we had chose to forget that we are unconditionally loved
yes.
and so forth.
Yes.
And that it seems like that since the higher mind understands our path ahead, that it would also understand that we were unconditionally loved.
Yes.
And so it knows all that. I was just
yes.
trying to okay.
Yes.
Thank you. You answered my question.
Well, thank you.
To
go further, you remember from the present. Because that's all you're doing is literally remembering yourself, pulling yourself together, to be in the present, where access to all information exists, all at once. So memory is not a thing in that sense that happens in the brain per se, except that you can allow the brain to configure itself electrochemically, neurologically, to be the kind of flexible receiver that will allow you to know what you need to know when you need to know it. In that context, in our civilization, we have absolutely no memory whatsoever. We remember nothing in the way that you mean it on earth. But we know what we need to know when we need to know it. Therefore, it works just as well as having what you would call a perfect memory. So the idea is to simply live in the moment, live in the now, live in the present, where all information exists, and you will tap into whatever information you need at that moment. You won't get it a second sooner than you need it, but you won't get it a second later than you need it either. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help? Yes. Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question when you talked about that we can access memories from past lives, although...
Yes, because it's all going on right now.
Right.
So all you're doing is cross-connecting to a simultaneously coexistent vibration.
So I just wanted you to comment, because I am currently accessing memories from this, I guess, this place on planet Earth about 155,000 years ago called Lemuria.
Yes.
And
that is a more recent name for it in your society.
What was the old name?
Mu.
Oh, Mu. Okay. And in this reality, there were not only humans living on Earth, but there were also elves, pixies, dwarves.
Well, in a sense. Now, they still exist, but you must understand that these are different dimensional beings. It's simply that as you have changed yourself, your vibration, you have taken yourself to a parallel reality Earth, speaking of you all as a species in general, you have taken yourself to parallel reality Earths that don't contain the frequency necessary to perceive into other dimensions as easily as you used to. But in those ancient times, when you were more connected to nature, when you were more connected to your intuition, to your natural selves, you had the ability to perceive into multitude of dimensions simultaneously, and so the ability to interact with different kinds of consciousness as it would express itself in different forms in those different dimensions. All those beings and all those dimensions still express themselves that way, and many of you are beginning to recapture and reclaim and recreate the original vibrations that allow you to perceive into those different dimensional realms that are inhabited by forms of consciousness other than your own.
Okay.
Does that help?
A little bit.
Oh, all right. Where would you like to go with this idea?
So I guess this is going to sound strange. Well,
Going to sound strange to us?
Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. I was told in a psychic reading, and
Yes.
that originally I was actually an elf.
All right. Now, we understand what is meant. Let us clarify this idea.
Okay.
Again, we ask you to keep the perspective that all things exist simultaneously.
Right.
So, when you say, I was an elf, you are you.
Right.
You have never been anything but you.
Okay.
Because that's you, this particular personality.
Right.
All right? So, nevertheless, what is typically referred to in your language as the Oversoul, do you know that term?
Yes.
The Oversoul, the large, shall we say, consciousness aggregate, from which extensions form and create different experiences of different lives and different realities. The Oversoul that creates you also is simultaneously creating an experience in that other dimension as the kind of being that you refer to in your reality as an elf.
Right.
So it's not that you were an elf.
Right.
But you have, through the Oversoul, cross-connecting vibrations to a simultaneous existence as another parallel self in that form.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Sort of. All right.
I mean, is that why I can sort of access those memories? Okay.
Because in that sense, when you have any given life, you design that life to cross-connect energetically to any other simultaneously coexisting reality that you need to draw upon for information, for energy to aid and assist you in each life. So every single life does that. The life of the so-called elf expression also draws upon your experiences in this particular parallel reality to aid and assist it in its experience of life. So there is always cross-communication going on between you and all other simultaneously co-created lives that come from the same Oversoul of which you are a part. When you become more sensitive to that cross-communication, you begin to attract information in that way. And it was simply perceived by someone who is somewhat psychically sensitive, but it was stated to you in a typical folkloric manner. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Saying you were an elf.
Right.
That's the mythology, that's the folklore way of saying it.
Okay.
We are now describing to you the idea of the physics understanding behind how that's actually structured. Does that make sense now?
Right. So if there's cross communication going on,
Yes.
does that mean you can alter what's going on in each life?
Well, in a sense, you are helping each life to choose how to alter its own life. Because the idea is that as you walk through life, let's say, for example, you're walking down one of your streets,
Right.
and you are suddenly struck with an inspiration to do something you hadn't thought of before.
Right.
By acting on that inspiration, does that not determine a new course for your life at that moment, shift you into a new parallel reality?
Yes.
Yes, of course. The idea is that, how do you know that inspiration didn't come from an experience of another parallel self in another reality?
Okay.
So in that way, you could say the experience of that parallel life gave you information that you turned into or experienced as or translated as an inspiration that thus then allowed you to take action in a direction you hadn't thought of before. So in that context, yes, you affect each other.
Okay.
And the Oversoul's perspective is that it is gathering information simultaneously from all of those versions of itself simultaneously.
Okay.
So it is also, in that sense, shall we say, affected by the experiences of all the extensions it has created to experience different dimensions of reality. And that alters its course by choices it makes. And on and on and on and on and on and on and on, all the way up to the one. But not quite to the one. Why not, you ask?
Yes.
Because the one, by definition, never changes. The one is all that is. And all that is all that is. And cannot become something other than all that is. So the idea of all these changes only goes up to just under the one.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Does that answer your
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, but I had another
Oh, what a
question
surprise.
related. This sort of just came on Thursday.
You mean an inspiration?
An idea about Lemuria.
An idea, yes.
That it might have also, the people from Lemuria might have also come from, it's like a planet near Sirius.
You must all understand that what you are picking up on is the idea that there is extraterrestrial DNA and genetics in all of you.
Okay.
And the idea is that happened a long time ago, but that the civilization you call Lemuria was one of the earliest ones that expressed one of the full balances of human and alien DNA. They did interact also with extraterrestrial beings here and there, but they were the progeny of the natural development of evolution on your planet, altered by extraterrestrial DNA, and thus then also evolved to a high level of interactivity with nature. But you are picking up on all those frequencies because they all exist within you, and you're starting to recognize that.
So another thought, sorry, last
Yes.
question. So if you have access to these memories through these parallel lives in
Yes.
other worlds,
Yes.
and there's this thing that you can create, like
Yes.
it's a vesicle Pisces and it's like a portal.
Yes.
Can you use those not past life, but memories from another dimension? Can you then not use them to travel back into those lives because you have the memories?
You can gain more awareness or more focus from the perspective of that part of the Oversoul experiencing that life. But again, remember, it's not you.
Right.
In a sense, let's put it this way. There's already somebody there that's already a part of your Oversoul.
Right.
You are you, they are they. You're not going to exactly have their life. But you can gain as much information and experience and perspective Many times even very solidly, very holographically, very really, but it will only be for the purpose of allowing you to interpret that information in a way that's applicable in the life as you.
Right.
Because otherwise there would be no purpose in receiving that information. Does that make sense?
Well, so
If you fully simply took on the mantle of the full experience of that life,
right.
it would just be experienced from the point of view of that version, and you would no longer know yourself as you.
Right.
So you would never know you had done it anyway.
Okay.
Make sense?
Sort of.
Sorta. All right. Why don't you go and sorta this out for yourself?
All right. Thank you.
Play with it, all right? Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good morning, I guess I should say, because you're seeing the dawn above Cairo right now.
No, I am above Sedona.
Oh, I apologize. My question is kind of personal.
Well, all right. Because it comes from a person, I suppose.
To the best of my knowledge.
All right.
I understand that the channel Darryl was shown on 2 occasions the black triangle.
Yes.
And I myself have experienced a black triangle hovering above my car and flashing me with a search beam, I guess, would be a good way to describe it.
All right.
And since then, I've had many, many experiences, including some limited telepathy and many other things. And I was just not quite clear as to the reasoning behind it.
The reason?
The direction I'm supposed to take, perhaps.
You are supposed to follow the highest excitement you can imagine acting on. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too simple? Would you like me to complicate it?
Please.
All right. Let us back up. Understand that each and every one of you have chosen this life. When you chose this life, from the idea of the spirit level, you also made certain agreements with different kinds of people, both in your life and on other planes of existence. These agreements usually play out as certain kinds of events that unfold in synchronous timing. The reason for making these agreements, because you knew that by having an earth experience you would probably forget a lot of those agreements, much of the purpose of those meetings and those agreements and those appointments is to spur you toward remembering more of who you are. The way you easily do that, and the way you apply the effect of those experiences as you have had them, is to act every moment that you can to the best of your ability on whatever comes along as an option or an opportunity that contains the highest amount of high vibratory excitement and passion that you are capable of acting on. If you do that, you will be instilling within yourself the vibration of your true core self, and it will actually help you have more insight and more memory in the moment of why those meetings took place, what they are for, and how to use them. Your world will expand, your vision will open up, you will understand the bigger picture of all the agreements that you have made. But those are like friends that come along every now and then and give you a little nudge and say, remember, it's time to get on about doing this. So the idea is that whatever that experience has turned your mind to focus on, whatever it has inspired you to explore, was the purpose of the meeting. But the fundamental purpose is to get you to act on your highest joy and so become more and more and more of the self you agreed to become in this life experience. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
It does, but?
Okay. Following my excitement has come into contrast with just my earthly needs and necessities, you know.
Nonsense. If you are actually, truly acting on your excitement, there can be no conflict. So if you are experiencing the idea of conflict between the concept of following your excitement and your so-called earthly needs, what that means is you are still working on the process of figuring out to believe that your excitement can support you. Now, if you have a belief system still that says, my excitement cannot support me fully, then I would certainly not advise you to just jump away from your present belief systems. If you have present belief systems that say you have to do A, B, and C in order to fulfill your earthly needs, then I would advise you to hold on to those beliefs and honor them and still work with them. Nevertheless, from our perspective, I can guarantee you that if you actually at any time truly allow yourself to fully act on your highest joy with the understanding that your highest joy is the driving engine and the organizing principle of your life, and that it will automatically and synchronistically bring you everything you need in whatever form it really needs to be there, then you will allow yourself to experience the fact that it can actually do that. It's only the physical mind's ego structure that thinks certain things have to happen in a certain way, or somehow you will suffer. If you allow the higher mind to guide you in this, you will find the higher mind is capable of bringing you everything you need, even though sometimes that thing may be different than the physical mind's idea of what that should be. Is that making some sense?
Yes, it does.
We will be talking a little bit more about the idea of how to form a stronger relationship between physical mind and higher mind in what you call tomorrow's transmission. All right?
All right.
Does this help you for now?
It does.
Why, thank you.
Thank you, Bashar.
All right.
Thanks for asking.
All right. You are welcome.
Do you have any books to be published soon? Like any agreement between you and Darryl to...
There are already a few, and the channel and those involved in disseminating the information are working on plans to publish other books. But you can talk to them about that.
All right.
Since I am not part of the publishing company.
All right, I'll do that.
All right.
Other question is, I know that our bodies are made of energy. I understand that.
Yes.
So any ailments or any diseases we have, does it have to do with any energy blocks in our physical bodies?
It can. Again, the idea is that you have formed a general consensus reality and agreed that certain things shall be generally held as true. A lot of these general consensus truths have to do with how physical reality works. A lot of it has to do, therefore, with the idea of chemistry. Mm-hmm. Therefore, blockages can occur by absorbing into your bodies the idea that you have labeled as toxins. And if you have toxins in your body, which all of you do, then that can, because of the consensus reality of how chemistry functions, actually block the cellular structures in your body from absorbing the appropriate nutrients to allow your body to rapidly balance and heal itself. Therefore, this is why we strongly urge individuals who are attempting to make themselves more receptive to synchronicity and higher energies to thoroughly detoxify their bodies on a relatively regular basis, to get the toxins out and put the proper nutrients in to allow the body to operate on the neurochemical electrical level that it was intended to operate on, so that it can function in a balanced state.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. Other question is, it has to do with, you were talking in your book about the properties of an object.
Yes.
And by changing them, you could change the object itself.
Yes.
And you could do time travel and everything.
Yes.
So can we, as third-dimensional beings, become the frequencies of the places we want to go to and visit? For example, let's say Andromeda or Mars. Or anything.
However, you cannot do that as third-dimensional beings. However, you can do it as fourth-dimensional beings.
All right. So
remember that you actually exist in the fourth dimension. We know that a lot of terminology on your planet gets confused on this issue. Third density, fourth density, third dimension, fourth dimension. Physically speaking, mechanically speaking, mathematically speaking, you're actually in 4 dimensions. 3 of space, 1 of time. Mm-hmm. Therefore, by accelerating the idea of yourself as a fourth dimensional being and raising the vibration so that you're coming closer to fifth dimensionality, you can thus recognize that location is simply one of the variables of the definition of an object, and you can transport yourself to various places even as we do.
So for the time being, then we're just gonna do detox and everything to be allowing the higher frequencies.
It will be a beginning. We will see if you can detox your way to Andromeda.
All right.
There may be other belief systems also involved in that process that may require some changing.
All right. It will happen in time, right?
It can.
All right. All right. I've been following my excitement, especially recently.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
And so I've been already passing through 2 different fields, which is business field and medical field.
All right.
And the second is more exciting than the first, but still not completely.
All right.
So I've
Now
been
remember, first of all, before you continue, if I may,
Yes.
when we talk about the idea of doing something that excites you, we are also talking about doing it in the most exciting way that you can. Sometimes individuals may think a certain thing doesn't excite them, but that may be only because they're not doing it in as exciting a way as they could be doing it. Sometimes you also can make the decision that certain things are not representative of your excitement, but you have to have the ability to make the discernment as to which is which. And the first thing to always check is simply that you may be making something seem not exciting because of your belief systems about it, when in fact you could actually be going about it in a more exciting way and reclaiming the excitement that is there. So as long as you check that first, then you can make a decision more easily as to whether or not the thing itself is truly representative of your excitement or not.
Okay. So you answered my question, which is I am thinking now to be in the nonprofit field.
Oh, all right.
And
Why is that exciting for you?
because I feel it fits my personality a lot.
Oh,
I feel I have qualities that match this field more than others, and I also can able to help people who need help.
All right, and this is exciting for you,
It
yes?
is exciting for me, yes.
All right, and so what actions will you take in that direction?
I've been already researching on taking a degree in school again the third time.
All right.
But since I've been planning to simplify my life also,
Yes.
if I do that, I'm gonna have to take more debt and everything.
Maybe,
to achieve
maybe
it.
not. Why do you assume that that's the case?
Uh,
Because that's the way it's always been?
in a way, yes.
Well,
but
what does the way it's always been have to do with the way it can be?
I got your point.
Well, thank you. Are you going to act on it?
I am gonna act on it.
All
but
right.
do you have any comment or advice or guidance towards how I'm gonna act on it?
Well, I sort of just gave you some. The
more
idea
details.
is to start relaxing your definitions of what seems to work for everyone else and recognize that you are a unique reality and that you can create the definitions within yourself that will work for you, and you don't have to do it the way someone else has done it. At the same time, as we said before to another individual, honor the belief systems that you do hold on to that you know you're not willing to let go of. If you truly believe that you need to do it a certain way, even though it may not be fully representative of your highest joy, but you feel you can't let go of that belief, then I would not let it go, because you may then throw yourself off a cliff and not be able to recover. The idea is to always honor the belief system and change them at whatever pace you are comfortable with changing them, based on the degree to which you're willing to believe that the new belief can actually support you. But I can guarantee you that any new belief you come up with that actually is believed by you to be capable of supporting you in whatever way you need to be supported will work, if you believe that it will, without the expectation that it must do so in a certain way. Again, we will be discussing this in more detail tomorrow when we discuss the idea of the relationship between physical mind and higher mind and how they can work more smoothly together. All right?
All right. Thank you very much, Bashar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
Thank you. Good day.
We have another question from our listeners.
Yes.
Many scientists have been researching free energy generation.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of claims that it's been realized, but nothing seems to have really materialized in our society, at
Yes.
least not for public use.
Yes.
So it's unknown whether this is due to claims being false, or it's because these discoveries are silenced by major corporations because it's threatening.
All right. It is due to A, claims being false, some of them, Some being suppressed, some not being quite ready yet.
So is there really free energy?
There is free energy all around.
Well, I mean, are there free
There
energy?
are devices that can be created to tap into it, yes. Yes.
So what's the current state of that? Is it just that we're not ready to accept it, or why?
Well, now understand that when we make this general statement, it is a generalization. Different people in different places on your planet may be at different stages of readiness to explore this. You understand?
Yes.
So we are giving you an overall average here. The degree of general average readiness that your belief systems are at with respect to exploring the ability to create devices that can tap free energy is about 4 to 5%.
So it's still really low.
Yes.
So what would be the most likely form of free energy that we would generate in the near...
Tapping into the electromagnetic field of your planet.
When do you see something like that happening?
As we read the energy now, because as many of you know, there is no such thing as a prediction of the future because the future doesn't exist.
Right.
As we read the energy now, what seems most likely to come to pass if the energy doesn't change is that you will get a full handle on this sometime between your year of 2015 and 2030.
Okay, well, that's good.
It is what it is.
Okay, thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. Recently, I heard about a process where people change their way of getting energy. I've heard of breatharians, where people supposedly don't eat; they get their energy from air.
This is available to some individuals. Not many of you actually need to do that. There is nothing wrong or less spiritual with the idea of eating, you know.
Yes.
It's just that in different cases, people are exploring different things, and sometimes some individuals on your planet will be capable of raising their frequency to the point where they themselves, as we have just discussed, can, through their own bodies, tap into the free energy of creation, and thus are sustained by that, even as our civilization does that, because we no longer eat. But it doesn't mean that you are less spiritual if you are accessing your energy still through the idea of food.
So how would we develop the ability to access our energy through light, through our light bodies, say, the light that's already in us?
Do you remember what we said about what acting on your excitement does to your energy?
Huh?
It increases your frequency. And thus, by increasing your frequency, it makes you more sensitive to higher energies, more capable of receiving and processing and accessing and using and applying higher frequencies in a variety of ways. So the only real fundamental criteria, even though there may be different ways of doing it on a case-by-case basis, different interpretations, different styles of approaching this, the fundamental common issue is the more you are willing to relax any expectations of the physical mind, the more you are willing to act with firm knowing on the things that are truly representative every moment of your highest passion, no matter what they may be, the more you will sensitize yourself to be capable of needing energy in less solid forms and be capable of being sustained by energy in more rarefied forms. If you will notice, many times when individuals are actually truly involved, engaged, immersed in doing what they love to do, are in the moment, in the present with it, they often don't eat very much. And the idea is they are sustained by the higher energy. The issue, however, is not to force yourself to do this, not to force yourself not to eat. When you find your natural balance, when you find your natural rhythm, the amount you eat or don't eat will also balance itself out. You will know when you need what you need. You will know when you don't. It becomes a natural, intuitive, second nature thing. It's not something you have to force yourselves to do. Does that make some sense?
Yes.
As we said, the idea of your excitement, your passion, that highest energy is your true core self. That's why it's so important to act on it at every opportunity, because that means you're in alignment with your true self. That high energy is automatically not only the driving engine, but the organizing. Not only the driving engine, but the organizing principle of your life. And it will automatically put into proper order, in proper amount, in proper timing, all the things that are actually necessary to sustain you and allow you to expand further in that exciting state of being. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It all works hand in hand holistically. It's all a complete kit. It's all self-reinforcing. You don't have to do anything special to make it work. All you have to do is allow it to happen, allow it to run, because it's always working. Even if you don't know it, it's always working, because you're always using it to create whatever you believe is the most likely thing you can create. And you've always done so. And all you're attempting to do now, all of you, is simply become more conscious of the choices you're making that create the experiences you are having. You are not learning to create. You already do that flawlessly. The issue is, what are you creating? You follow?
Oh, yes.
Does this help you?
Yes.
Does it answer the question?
Yes, that question. Well, maybe a little more detail in regards to
respect?
How we can. I mean, I understand following my excitement.
You do?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, yes.
All right.
And the tuning into this frequency of light, say that I am,
yes,
would raise my vibration.
If your imagination tells you that there's a particular methodology that you would like to create as a permission slip to give yourself more ability to feel that you're tapping into that light, then trust your imagination. That's what it's there for.
Okay.
This is all about permission slips. All the tools, all the techniques, and all the rituals that your imagination comes up with are simply permission slips that are geared to your particular belief system that will work in harmony with your belief system to give you permission to grant yourself the ability to be more of who you are. So trust your imagination and intuition in coming up with those methodologies.
Okay.
But at the same time, we simply remind you that that's all they are, is permission slips, and you actually don't need any of them if you have a belief system that says you don't.
Yes.
So,
when you earlier stated that your state currently is of quasi-spiritual and physical, going back and forth?
yes.
I take that means you don't sleep?
No,
No.
we do not.
So,
We do not eat, we do not sleep.
So just pure existence, consciousness,
Pure
functioning, joy.
Pure joy, pure experience, pure synchronicity, pure living.
Wow.
Wow. Which upside down in your language is mom.
Mama. And when you said that, I guess here's a conversation about where does the imagination kick in and where does something else happening outside of imagination occur?
All right. Again, this is something that we will be addressing to some degree when we talk about the relationship and the ability to communicate between physical and higher mind. Imagination is fundamentally the conduit between higher mind and physical mind through which communication from one to the each occurs. And the idea of learning to discern the difference between communication from the higher mind and ideas that may be embedded in the ego structure of the physical mind will be something that we'll be addressing in more detail tomorrow of your time.
Okay.
All right.
So I have a personal question then.
Oh, all right.
So when you made that statement and I tuned into that, I felt this sensation.
Yes.
I don't have words for it.
And
So was that my higher mind experience in what you were talking of, or was that my imagination with embedded belief systems from the past kicking in?
can you define the actual sensation?
It was expansive.
Then it is the higher mind, because the physical ego structure will not allow you to expand beyond a certain point. That's the point.
And it also had a certain flavor of pleasure to it.
There you go. Now, we understand that sometimes ego structure can deliver pleasurable sensations to you to reinforce the idea of negative beliefs. But if you believe that the expansive feeling was more in alignment with the idea of joy and unconditional loving support, then it is more likely it was something from a connection to the higher self rather than the idea of the control that usually comes with the physical ego structure's version of granting you pleasure.
Oh, yes.
Make sense?
Oh, I understand that, yes.
All right. Does that help you learn to tell the difference?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Another question, Bashar.
Yes.
We have a question about the jellyfish crop circle that recently showed up in Europe. And
Yes.
we'd like to know what you can tell us about it.
The symbolism on one level, of course, there are many symbolisms to the idea of many of these different glyphs that are created in a variety of ways. Some of them are created by humans, some of them are not, in the classical sense. Nevertheless, they all have symbology. The idea of the jellyfish appearing at this time is to represent the notion of moving through your environment in a fluid manner, without resistance, effortlessly propelling yourself, bit by bit, smoothly along. You understand?
Yes.
And that you can tap into that energy and allow your life to become one of ease, one of effortlessness as you move forward. Gliding, sliding, flying through the medium that heretofore you felt you could only crawl through, struggle through. That which heretofore acted as an obstacle or an impediment is now something you can glide through. It becomes a supporting medium, a buoyant medium, as opposed to that which holds you down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
As you lighten up your vibration, no longer do you feel the pressure of the weight of the water, symbolically speaking, above your head. You now rise up and float through it, fly through it, glide through it, because you yourself are lighter in the water and so must rise to the level that matches your frequency. You follow?
Yes. That's just lovely. It's really
Some
beautiful.
jellyfish, however, can sting
And kill.
and kill. And that is always a reminder, just like the yin-yang symbol, that even though there is light, there is some darkness in it, always. Even though there is darkness, there is always some light, and both sides are always accessible from one another. So even though there may be the ability of the jellyfish to float free, there is always the reminder that you always have the ability to choose the negative side, but do not have to. The more you allow the stinger to be an accepted part of your whole being, of your whole identity, the less reason there is to choose the negative side as an experience, as long as you validate it as an equal choice, as part of who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's just wonderful how that really represents the darkness and the light and how we're always at choice.
Yes. Of course, there will always be those who would prefer peanut butter and jellyfish. They like their things sticky.
Thank you, Bashar.